Unexpectedly, the little girl heard this. She patted her stomach directly and pointed to her belly, and then stuck out her tongue and pretended to be dead, which made Dejuan instantly understand. The weakness of the 13 dragon statues is the abdomen. The subsequent battle became much easier with the blessing of his unicorn arm. At the weak point, several dragon statues fell under the Shuan's sword, and Zhuan successfully obtained the 13 dragon husband. Then Yu Wenzi and his minions must be getting impatient. Who could have imagined that? The illusion magic power that was about to die. A 36D big-breasted girl. Just after the Zhuan escaped into the small world, under Yuanzi's command, they firmly guarded the exit and prepared to catch him in a trap. But as time went by, even if Yuanzi's prestige is high, he couldn't control the crowd anymore. What's more, he had to set aside time to find the formula. But the Zhuan couldn't just ignore it either. But she quickly came up with a solution, and let everyone continue to wait for rabbits. He would go to choose a suitable princess first. Anyone who stayed behind, they would compensate one person after they left, and one to take over the princess. Hearing that they could come to Zhangji Palace by staying, everyone could only agree. After all, not to mention the consequences of disobeying orders, even if they go out, they may not find a better one. Seeing that everyone had agreed, he took the lead and walked ahead. Shortly after he left, the Shuan emerged from the small world. Just a moment of landing. She killed 2 people. The system immediately prompted a 4-point contribution. Before everyone could react, the Shuan immediately rushed towards the secret realm. Everyone saw this and rushed forward to chase. However, many disciples were stopped outside due to insufficient cultivation. The 3 people inside saw the Shuan right ahead. Countless attacks were fired at her. The Shuan struggled and evaded. But in the next second, the young man's body began to shrink constantly and finally turned into Zhao Zhao's appearance and fled in panic. In the illusion outside, the Zhuan began to kill the low-level disciples. With a swing of her hand, and the disciple turned into contribution points. It turned out that the Zhuan didn't plan to fight one-on-many. Let Zhao Zhao become like herself. She lured several disciples of Zhangji away first, so that she could defeat them one by one. Then Linger appeared. She took the disciples' body away, saying that they could be used to assist the system upgrade. The Shuan was stunned. Wasn't this destroying the corpse? Several disciples who came out of the Zhuangji world, they found that the huge open space was empty. They were seriously injured by the Zhuan in a daze. The dying people still wanted to use the Zhonggui to suppress the Shuan, but were directly killed by the Shuan. His contribution points also soared to 30. With enough contributions, Di Zhuang, he immediately exchanged for Hui Cheng. Zhao Zhao's eyes glowed with golden light when she saw it, and swallowed it with a gulp, and instantly turned into a green sphere, surrounded by countless great island eagles. With the flash of light, Zhao Zhao turned from a lowly into a big-breasted girl. The system immediately sent a task, asking Zhao Zhao to wear a specified uniform, and the reward is a Zulong Huangzhu. Otherwise, be a gentleman. he will be trapped in the illusion forever. Isn't that nonsense? For the ancestral dragon emperor, I'll be a gentleman. The immortal girl is wearing a modern JK uniform. Her shy look and perfect figure, making the Juan a pervert with his soul ascending. But at this moment, a huge shadow covered the Xuan tightly. Luckily, he waved his hand quickly and instantly cast. He used his secretary to pull the girl away. And where the Xuan just stood, a bronze servant was erected. If she hadn't dodged quickly, she would have been minced. The Xuan wanted to ask Linger, "This is a spiritless spirit," but said she had never seen it. A cold voice came from the sky. "The Xuan, how dare you drag my outer disciple? Today is your death day." Despite this, Yu Wenzi didn't dare to agree at all. The Xuan didn't know what method he used. He had killed several cultivators in just half a day. He must not capsize in the gutter. Thinking of this, he instantly took out the bronze token in his hand, turning into a small mountain and flying towards them. Seeing this, Zhao Zhao, she quickly spoke to remind the Jun. She couldn't attack the trialists because of the rules, but she could hold off Na Qing. The Xuan agreed with his words to understand. While Zhao Zhao used his secret technique to block Tanji, he directly drew his sword and charged towards Yu Wenzi. A lightning-fast strike, making Yu Wenzi unable to guard against it. A shallow cut was made on his face by the blade. Angry, Yu Wenzi drew his sword to cut the Xuan. But after several fights, he found that he was no match for the Zhuan in close combat, and was even caught by the opponent and kicked into the air. Seeing the Xuan raise his knife to stab, his life was in danger. Yu Wenzi on the ground pinched his fingers with his right hand and shouted out in a hoarse voice. The bronze seal nearby suddenly grew bigger and shook the tree beside Zhao Zhao. Seeing the bronze seal falling on him, Zhao Zhao also closed her eyes in despair. But as the bronze seal fell, Zhao Zhao found that he didn't feel any pain. When she opened her eyes, she found that the Xuan used his body to block the bronze seal. "Brother, why are you so stupid? Use your body to block the bronze seal." "It's okay. I'm your brother, and I should protect you. Shouldn't I do it?" Yao Wen burst into tears. "I'm just an elf. Even if I really die, the illusion will still meet you again." Before Zhao Zhao finished speaking, the Xuan smiled freely. "Even if it's a new one, it's not you, Zhao Zhao. Now you be careful. Hide behind me." Seeing Yu Wenzi pushing the bronze again like his life, the Xuan also pretended to hold on. But his body really seemed to be unable to hold on. Only Zhao Zhao behind him saw everything. Gently embraced the Zhuan with her hands. So this time, let Zhao Zhao protect her brother. The Xuan was no match for Yu Wenzi and was seriously injured. Zhao Zhao held her and fell off the cliff at a critical moment. Yu Wenzi looked at the endless abyss. He sneered. There is only one day left before the illusion closes. He just needs to guard the cliff and prevent the Zhuan from coming up. When the illusion is closed, the Xuan will be doomed. The Xuan and Xiao Xiao who fell off the cliff. They came to a large lake. Before, Linger saw the big lake. Her eyes were straight. She exclaimed that it was a spiritual spring. is the eye of spiritual energy gathering in the entire vein. This brat really got lucky. The Xuan understood the benefits of it. As long as she absorbs the spiritual spring, upgrading would be like having an accelerator. The random task sent by the system at this moment: absorb the spiritual spring to gain enlightenment, or simply ignore the spiritual spring. Linger told the Xuan he was still happy to do it earlier, although the spiritual spring is a great opportunity, but for cultivators in the God transformation stage, a small Duan Ti Chi like the Xuan, once absorbed rashly, he will be backfired and explode to death. This system task has no punishment, so it doesn't matter if he doesn't accept it. The Xuan was unwilling to give up. Even if not for himself, but also for his sisters, the Xuan, thought of this. The Xuan poured out countless elixirs from the space ring and poured everything into his mouth, hoping to reduce the probability of his body bursting. Then Li Yuan took the pills and spiritual spring. He immediately began to practice. Seeing the Xuan so persistent, she let him go. Sure enough, as the medicinal power gradually penetrated, the Xuan felt excruciating pain all over his body. His face was distorted with pain. Blood kept flowing out of his 7 orifices. The next moment, there was a cracking sound. It was like the whole body was broken. Under the impact of the medicinal power, he began to break. Zhao Zhao saw it all and knew this was the Xuan's critical moment, and then silently chanted a spell. Soul and body, endless. All things in the world, all belong to me. The little spirit beside was shocked. The elf will die like this. Zhao Zhao ignored him, who turned into a spirit body. She gently kissed Brother Li Zhu. Zhao Zhao will definitely protect you. At this moment, Linger was completely stunned. She had never expected that. The illusion elf was willing to give up his body and uses her spiritual body as a medium, the veins of Dejan, to link with the entire illusion. In that case, the Xuan's physical condition will probably be close to the Golden Core stage. After recovering, the Xuan looked at his hands and was terrified. She didn't expect the absorption to be so successful. Her physical body is now incredibly hard, and the injuries she suffered earlier were healed. But at this moment, Linger threw a basin of cold water, saying, "Where did the Zhang get the charm?" to make the illusion elf sacrifice himself to help him. Hearing this, the Zhang stood there in a daze. One life for another. Was he really worth it for Zhao Zhao to do so? But Linger soon comforted the Xuan, saying that luckily Zhao Zhao ate Huicheng pill, leaving a trace of primordial spirit, and she will come back in 100 years. The Xuan tightly clenched his fists tightly. Zhao Zhao, we will meet again in 100 years. At that time, brother will definitely protect you. At this time, the system sent a message that the task was done, indicating that Dijon had exceeded the task, and an extra reward of a robbing talisman, which can snatch other people's items. The Xuan angrily stood up. The robbing talisman is interesting. Wenzi, wait for me. With the grabbing talisman just rewarded by the system, he was ready to take revenge on Yuanzi. After jumping up the cliff, he saw Yuanzi. He used the love triad, Jialong's 18 palms. Yuanzi, who was almost stunned. Yuanzi was ready to repeat the same trick. The Xuan, who was prepared, sneered coldly. You finally took it out. System, use it for me. Snatch. In an instant, Dujan's body was filled with light. A huge Kailing Sea's talisman appeared behind him. With a wave of the Xuan's hand, a golden chain rushed out and quickly pulled back Yuanzi's bronze seal and put it into the Xuan's hand. Yuanzi didn't know what happened, how his magic weapon became someone else's. The Xuan was unceremonious and used the new magic weapon to perform a move.